This is the Chapter 4 test review for 4th grade. Number 1, there are 9 showings of a film about endangered species at the Science Museum. A total of 459 people saw the film. The same number of people were at each showing. About how many people were at each showing? So when it says the same number of people, that means that we're dividing. We're trying to figure out how many people were in each of those 9 showings. So this is the problem that we're doing. But since it says about, we need to round. So it says select the numbers the quotient is in between. So that means I know that 459 can round to 450 because that is the multiple of 9 that is high or lower. And I know that the next multiple of 9 would be 54, so 540. So that means it is in between. 9 goes into 45 5 times, so 50 and 60. So it is in between those two numbers. Between which two numbers is the quotient of 87 divided by 5? So I look at my 87 divided by 5. I know that 5 can go in 8. So that means it is in between, and we could do this one a couple of ways. So if I rounded just to the tens, it would be in between, 87 is in between 50 and 100, which would make my quotient in between 10 and 20. So that is one combination of answers, 10 and 20. I could also look at getting even closer. I know that 15 times 5 is 75, so it could be in between 75 and 100, which would make the quotient 5 times 15 is 75, and 5 times 20 is 100. So it could be in between 10 and 20. We would also accept in between 15 and 20. Look at the model. What division does it show? Well, I can see that the leftovers is 1, so that's my remainder. I can see that there are 3 groups, so I know 3 groups is my divisor. I know that there are 6 in each group, so that is my quotient. And to find the number of dots total, the dividend, 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 more is 19. And I could just count the dots. So I have 19 dots. I split them into 3 groups. There are 6 in each group with 1 left over. All right, for the next one, choose whether or not the division expression has a remainder. So we're looking at, does the divisor go into the dividend evenly? Well, I know that 4 times 7 is 28, so that does work. This is an odd number, so no, that will not work. Anything that's divisible by 2 should be even. I know that 9 times 4 is 36 and 9 times 5 is 45. So this one will have a remainder. So that is, tell whether it will have a remainder. I am so sorry. I misread that. So this one will not have a remainder. And these two will have a remainder. I misread those directions. So really watch that. Oops. And 45 divided by 5, it does not have a remainder because that is a basic fact of 5 times 9. So no, it will not have a remainder. Apologize about that mistake there. All right, number 5. A park guide plans the swan boat rides for 40 people. Each boat can carry 6 people at a time. So I have 40 people. I can put them in groups of 6. And I'm trying to figure out the remainder. Well, I know that 6 times 6 is 36. That's as close as I'm going to get, which I know that means I have 6 equal groups, and I'm going to have a remainder. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. So when I subtract 36 from 40, my remainder is 4. So my answer is 6 remainder 4. The question is saying, what is the best way to interpret the remainder so that everyone gets a ride? Well, since I have these 4 extra people, I can't just tell them they can't go on the ride. So I'm going to have to do 7 total rides in order to make sure that everybody gets a turn. So I have to add 1 to my quotient. Number 6, Nolan divides 88 toy cars into boxes. So he's dividing 88 into boxes. Each box holds 9 cars. How many boxes does he need to store all of his cars? Well, I know that 9 times 9 is 81, and that's as close as I'm going to be able to get. So I know my quotient is 9 with a remainder. So if I do 88 subtract 81, I get a remainder of 7. Since I have a remainder and I want to put all my cars away, I'm going to have to get 1 extra box, which means I need 10 total boxes. A group of 140 tourists are going on a tour. The tour guide rents 15 vans. Each van holds 9 tourists. So we've got a lot of information here. We're going to take it one step at a time. So I have 140 guests, and I can put them in groups of 9. I'm ignoring the 15 for just a moment because I don't know how many vans I need yet. What I do know is that there are 140 people, and I can put 9 people in each group or each van. So when I do that, I am going to have to figure out how many people will fit. So 9 goes into 140. So I'm going to go ahead and do my division. 9 cannot go into 1, but it can go into 14 one time. So I subtract 9. That gives me 5. I bring down my 0. 9 goes into 50 5 times with 45. And when I subtract it, that means since there's nothing else to bring down, my remainder is 5. So my answer is 15 remainder 5. Make sure I've answered the question. Write a division problem that can be used to solve it and then solve it. So I've done that. What does the remainder mean in this situation? So since I have a remainder, it means I need an extra van. So that tells me I need 16 vans total. How can you use your answer to determine if the tour guide rented enough vans? Well, they rented 15. They rented 15, but we need 16 to fit the leftover people. So we did not rent enough. All right, when I'm solving 3,200 divided by 8, I look at my basic fact. 8 goes into 32 4 times, and I add my 2 zeros back in, so I get 400. Okay, number 9, which quotients are equal to 300? Well, 12 divided by 4 is 3. Add my 2 zeros, that is 300. So that one I can mark. 24 divided by 8 is 3. Add my 2 zeros, so 300. This one is going to work. 90 divided by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, but I only have 1 0. So that one would not work. 180 divided by 9. 18 divided by 9 is 2. Add my 0 is 20. 21 divided by 7 is 3. Add my 2 zeros to get 300, so that one will also work. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Add my 3 zeros is 1,000, so that one will not work. Margot estimated 188 divided by 5 to be between 30 and 40. Which basic facts did she use? So 30 times 5. So her quotient is in between 30 and 40. So that means if I know 5 times 4 is 20, so she rounded it to 200 divided by 5. And to get 30, she rounded down to 150 divided by 5. And so our basic facts are 15 divided by 5 and 20 divided by 5. Matthias and his brother divided 2,029 marbles equally. About how many marbles did each of them receive? So we're going to round this. So we're going to round to the nearest 1,000. So our problem becomes 2,000 divided by 2, since there's Matthias and his brother. And that means that each boy receives about 1,000 cars. Or marbles, I'm sorry, marbles. Okay, for 12A through 12D, choose yes or no to show how to use the distributive property to break apart the dividend. Now, Normally, when we're using the distributive property, we want to break these into two numbers that are equal that have no remainder. So that's what I am going to do. So 115 is not divisible by 6, so I'm going to know that that one is not going to work. 17 divided by 6 is also not going to work without a remainder. 100 divided by 6 will not work without giving me a remainder. Same with 32 divided by 6. It does not go in evenly. 90 divided by 6 will work. 42 divided by 6 will work. And then the other thing you need to check is, does 90 plus 42 equal 132? And it does. So yes, this one will work. 72 plus 60 is 132. Both of these are evenly divisible by 6, so they would work. All right, number 13, there are 136 people waiting for a river raft ride. Each raft holds 8 people. Sylvia used the work below to find the number of rafts she needed. Explain how her work can be used to find the number of rafts needed. So she did partial quotients. When she subtracted 80, she took out 10 groups of 8. When she subtracted 56, she took out 7 groups of 8. And so to find her final answer, we're just going to add those two partial quotients together, which means her final answer is 17 rafts. Number 14, a traveling circus brings along everything it needs for a show in big trucks. The circus sets up chairs with 9 seats in each row. How many rows are needed to set up 513 people? So we're going to do 513 divided by 9, and I'm actually going to write it off to the side so I have a little bit more room. So 513 divided by 9. 9 cannot go into 5, but it can go into 51 5 times. With 45, when I subtract, I get 6. I bring down my 3 to get 63. 9 goes into 63 7 times, which is 63. So there's nothing left over. So I know that there are 57 rows of 9 seats. Can the rows be divided into a number of equal sections? Explain how you found your answer. So I look at the number 57. 5 plus 7. So think about our divisibility rules. It's not even, so it can't be divided by 2. 5 plus 7 is 12, and since 5 plus 7 is 12, I know that 3 can go into 12. So yes, it can be divided into other rows. 57 is divisible by 3. Circus horses eat about 250 pounds of food per week. About how many pounds of food does a circus horse eat each day? So really, my problem is 250 divided by 7, and since it says about, we want to round this. 7 does not go into 25, so I want to think of my multiples of 7 that are close to 25. So I can round it down to 210. I can round it up to 280. And when I divide those by 7, my answer is in between 30 and 40, so either answer would be acceptable on the rounding. Hilda wants to save 825 digital photographs in an online album. Each folder of the album can save 6 photographs. She wants to figure out how many full folders she will have. So we're going to do 825 divided by 6. 6 goes into 8 one time with 6. I have 2 left over, bring down my 2. 6 goes into 22 3 times with 18. Subtracted, I get 4. 6 goes into 45 7 times. I have 42 left over, which means I have a remainder of 3. Now it says, in what place is the first digit of her quotient? The quotient begins in the hundredth place. The hundreds place. All right, go number 16. Which model matches each expression? Write the letter in the box. So what we're looking at, first of all, we can narrow it down. Since this ends at 72, I know it's either going to be B or C. Or sorry, B or D. So the next thing I'm going to look at is how big the jumps are. So from here to here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means each jump is 4. So this one is B, 72 divided by 4. And since I figured out that one, I know that this one has to be D, 72 divided by 6. And I can check that by looking here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tick marks per jump. So now I've narrowed it down. This one has to be either A or C. I look at the jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 tick marks. So this one is 60 divided by 4, which is C. And that leaves this one as 60 divided by 5, which is A. Popcorn was donated for the school fair by 3 different popcorn vendors. They donated a total of 636 bags. They all donated the same amount. So I'm going to do 636 divided by 3 vendors. 3 goes into 6 2 times with 6. Bring down my 3. 3 goes into 3 1 time with 3. 0 left over. Bring down my 6. 3 goes into 6 2 times with 6. There's nothing left over. So that means each vendor donated 212 bags. Okay, for partial quotients, 100 times 8 means I'm going to subtract 800 from my dividend, and that means I have pulled out 100. When I do that, I have 32 left over, and 4 times 8 means I'm taking out 4 groups of 8, which equals 32. When I subtract that, I get 0 left over. And to find my final answer, I'm doing 100 plus 4. I add my partial quotients, and that gives me a total of 104. Number 19. Zach needs to divide these base 10 blocks into 3 equal groups. Draw or describe a model to show how many are in each group. So I need 3 equal groups, so I'm going to go ahead and draw 3 groups here. Since there are 4 10s, I know I can give each group 1 10. So there's 1 10 for each group. I only have 1 more 10, so I can't do that. So I'm going to have to regroup it as 10 1s. So there's my 10 1s. So I got rid of this 10 and I turned it into 10 1s. So now I have 10 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1s. So I have 18 1s divided by 3. Well, 18 divided by 3 means I can give everybody 6 1s. And double check. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's for 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the second group, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for this third group. So my answer is that there are 16 in each group. Okay, number 20, Jim needs to divide 750 coupons equally among 9 stores. In which place is the first digit? So we're going to look at 750 divided by 9. 9 cannot go into 7, so I automatically know my answer is not going to be in the hundreds place. There are no thousands, so it can't be in the thousands place. 9 will go into 75 8 times, which means my first digit is in the tens place. And I don't actually have to solve the whole thing. I'm just looking for that first quotient. Okay, Ursula bought 9 dozen rolls of first aid tape for the health office. 9 dozen means I have 9 times 12. 12 is a dozen. That means I have 108 rolls of first aid tape. They were divided equally into 4 boxes, so I'm going to do 108 divided by 4. 4 cannot go into 1, but it can go into 10 2 times with 8. When I subtract that, there's 2 left over. I bring down my 8, and that's 28. 4 goes into 28 7 times, which is 28. And so when I subtract that, there's nothing left over. That means that there are 27 rolls in each box. Last question, there were 112 seats in the school auditorium. There are 7 seats in each row. So first, I'm going to do, it says there are 70 people seated, filling up full rows of seats. How many rows are empty? So if I know there are 7 seats in each row and there are 70 people, that means that there are 70 divided by 7. Michaela. That means there are 10 full rows. I need to figure out how many rows are empty, which means I need to figure out how many rows there are. So I'm going to do 112 divided by 7. 7 can't go into 11, or 1, but it can go into 11 one time with 7. When I subtract and bring down, I now have 42. 7 goes into 42 6 times with 42, so that means there are 0 left over. If I have 16 total rows and 10 rows are full, 16 minus 10 gives me 6 rows that are empty. On the test, make sure you really pay close attention to the keywords. But other than that, just read each question carefully. Have a wonderful day. Good luck on your test.